Behind the thin walls of the Akpan's home, shadows danced and secrets grew. Isaac and Mary, who were siblings, were drawn by the moanings of their mother when having intimacy with their father at night. They became unwilling students of what they should never have seen. Day by day, they turned innocence into imitation. They would practice everything their parents did at night. Their childhood became twisting into something darker, something unspeakable. The weight of their deeds mounted as the children committed several abortions, marked by silent cries and unmarked graves. But when their union unfortunately brought forth a child, they carefully buried the truth, threatening to erupt, pulling their family into a spiral of chaos. How long can the past stay hidden before it claws its way into the surface? In the heart of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, there stood a crowded compound where families shared walls, courtyards, and stories. Among them was the Akpan's family, living in a modest one-room apartment. Mr. and Mrs. Akpan were hardworking parents, dedicated to raising their children. They were always busy at work, trying to provide for their two children. Their first son, Isaac, a bright and brilliant 12-year-old boy, and their second daughter, Mary, a lively girl of 10 years. Their room was cramped but warm with love. One corner held a modest bed, while the mat on the floor served as a sleeping space for Isaac and Mary. A single lantern illuminated their evenings, casting long shadows on the walls as they shared meals and stories. But when the light went out and the compound grew quiet, the Akpan's world shifted. Mr. and Mrs. Akpan would think their children were fast asleep, and they would want to share moments of couples intimacy, making love to each other like every other couple would. Unknown to them that their act is oblivious to the curious eyes of Isaac and Mary. Initially, the children did not understand what they were witnessing. One night, Mary whispered under her breath, "Isaac, why are Mama and Papa always making those noises?" Isaac was curious but confused. He replied, "Maybe it's something that adults do and it makes them happy." From that night onward, their curiosity grew, hidden under their blankets. They would peep and observe, whispering their thoughts the next day. Their innocent curiosity slowly transformed into a dangerous fascination. In school, they would see each other during break time and discuss about how Mama was screaming during the night. One afternoon, as Isaac and Mary played in the compound, Mary called Isaac. "Isaac, do you think we can try what Mama and Papa does at night?" Isaac paused and unsure. "Yes, I was going to tell you. Let's practice it. I think it's something that people do and it makes them happy. But we should keep it secret, since Mama and Papa only does it at night when they think we are sleeping. I think it's something they do and it makes them happy." And that was how Isaac and Mary went inside and began practicing what they had peeped. Isaac then asked Mary, "Does it hurt?" Mary, with a mixture of pain and joy in her heart, "It hurts a little, but I think you should continue." And so they began their childish mimicry. Slowly, it turned into a dark and hidden secret. As the years passed, Isaac and Mary's actions escalated. And by the time Isaac was 16 and Mary was 14, they had crossed many irreversible boundaries. Mary, now grappling with the consequences of their choices, she had went through multiple secret abortions for her own blood brother. Despite the weight of their actions, these siblings could not bring themselves to stop. They convinced themselves that they were in love, although deep down in their hearts, guilt gnawed at their hearts. Their parents remained unaware. They were always busy. The poor parents were always focusing on providing a better future for their two children. Isaac, Mary, Mr. Akpan would often say, "Education is your ticket to a brighter tomorrow. Make us proud." When the time came to write JAMB, Isaac and Mary conspired to attend the same university. They sat for JAMB exam together, hoping for identical outcomes. But fate had other plans. Isaac gained admission, and Mary did not get. The both of them plotted not to tell their parents. Devastated, Mary pleaded with Isaac, "You can't leave me. I can't do this alone." Isaac was equally distraught, and he promised, "Don't worry, I'll wait for you. We'll try again together. Let's not tell them we got admission." And that was how they continued writing JAMB for 2 more years. They worked diligently, continuing their secret sexual activities, eventually earning scholarship into a prestigious university in Ghana. Their church pastor had secured the fundings. These siblings saw this as a chance to escape the judgment and continue their secret relationship without interference. Their parents celebrated their scholarship, and they prayed before escorting them to the airport. Over there in Canada, they rented an apartment together, living as a couple. Their bond deepened, unchecked by societal norms or familiar oversight. They would attend lectures together, go out together, stroll out together, and many people thought they were couples. And very soon, the unbelievable happened. When Mary became pregnant again, they faced a life-altering decision. The doctor warned them against another abortion, saying it could cost Mary her life, and that forced them to keep the baby. In the quiet of their apartment, they welcomed their child after 9 months, and they named him Joshua. They welcomed Joshua into the world. The joy of his birth was shadowed with their guilt, but they resolved to keep him a secret. 3 years later, Isaac and Mary were now graduates from the university. Joshua, now a lively toddler, became the center of their world. However, their scholarship visa had expired, leaving them no choice but to return to Nigeria, where their parents based. With heavy hearts, they devised a story to explain Joshua's presence. When they arrived in Nigeria, they explained to their parents. "Mama, Papa," Isaac began as they arrived home, "This is Joshua. We found him abandoned in Canada, and out of charity, we picked him up and decided to take him in." Mr. and Mrs. Akpan, they were surprised, but then they accepted the story, believing that their children were acting out of kindness. But Mr. Akpan could not ignore the child's striking resemblance with both Isaac and Mary. Suspicion gnawed at him, until one day he had to confide as his very best friend, Mr. Okun. Mr. Okun then suggested to him to take the children for a DNA test. And when he insisted on DNA test, the results were undeniable. Joshua was Isaac and Mary's biological son. When the truth came out, Mrs. Akpan fainted. She was overwhelmed by the shock. Neighbors rushed to help, pouring water on her face and fanning her until she regained consciousness. "What is this abomination?" Mr. Akpan roared. His voice was shaking with anger. "How could you betray us like this? What have we done to deserve this? Your mother and I worked so hard to make life better for both of you. We had raised you both in love. Where did you learn this atrocity from? Could it be the Canada you went to that had impacted this abominable act in you? Mr. Akpan could not bring himself to fathom what was going on. Isaac and Mary then broke down in tears, confessing everything. Papa, this whole thing started when we were children. We would watch you and Mama scream at night. Mama would scream harder, harder. Both of you would be making noise on the bed. And that was how we began peeping. And on our own, we began practicing. We thought it's something that makes adults happy. And we decided to make ourselves happy. And that was how this bond was created. And right now we cannot stop. We love each other so much, Mary sobbed. We know it is wrong, as siblings as we are, but we cannot help it. Please forgive us. The news of their actions spread through the neighborhood, becoming a scandalous tale. Their pastor was horrified and disappointed by the revelation. Their pastor advised the family to take drastic action. These children need help, the pastor said firmly. Send them to separate rehabilitation centers at different states. They must break this bond. Reluctantly and out of no choice, Mr. and Mrs. Akpan agreed. Joshua, who was a reminder of their shame, was taken to an orphanage and given out for adoption. The two siblings, Isaac and Mary, were sent to different rehabilitation centers in 2 different states, where they spent 2 whole years undergoing therapy. The therapy section was successful, and when they returned home, they were now different people. The weight of their actions had left scars, but they were determined to make amends. They fell on their knees before their parents, and they begged for forgiveness. Mama, Papa, Isaac cried, "We are sorry. We know we've caused so much pain to this family. We know we've brought shame to you. Please give us a second chance to make this right." Although the Akpans forgave them, they revealed to them that Joshua, their son, had been adopted. Isaac and Mary wept bitterly, but they had to accept it because it was the best decision for their son. From that day on, the Akpans became advocates for vigilance and communicating in families. They shared their story as a cautionary tale, reminding parents of the importance of protecting their children's innocence, not being too busy providing for them and neglecting every other parental roles. They also let parents know that staying in a single-room apartment is not ideal, especially for children.